the Ride With Us podcast, presented by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, the world's largest ride enthusiast organization dedicated to the appreciation, promotion, and preservation of roller coasters around the globe. So please keep your hands and feet inside the podcast at all times as we welcome your hosts.
Hello, enthusiasts! It's your host, Jessica Gardner. I hope you are all having an incredible summer and getting lots of roller coaster rides in. I know for some people, the summer means visiting their home park as much as possible. For others, it means traveling. Maybe you've gotten some new credits this summer. Or maybe you're making a pilgrimage to Fun Spot America Atlanta or Busch Gardens Tampa to get some last rides on Air Force One and Kumba. I get it. But for the American coaster enthusiasts, summer also means CoasterCon. This year's CoasterCon was held at Six Flags New England, Lake Compounce, and Six Flags Great Escape. And so we've put together a panel of people who were there and want to recap it all. So whether you missed it and want to hear all about it, or whether you were there and want to relive it, this episode is for you. Podcast correspondent HaeKyung Thompson stepped in on this episode to break it all down for us. Enjoy!
This is HaeKyung Thompson. We are doing a quick recap over CoasterCon 48. We just had this just a few short weeks ago from June 21st through the 26th. 3 host parks were Six Flags New England, Lake Compounce, and Great Escape, which is now an Enchanted park. We're going to do a quick little introduction of everyone we have on board. We have 3 others joining us today here. Hannah, do you want to go ahead and start with it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So my name's Hannah Lee. I am one of the Southeast Assistant Regional Reps, and most recently I stepped up to be the Digital Events Coordinator. And as far as CoasterCon goes, this is my 4th CoasterCon. I went to the first one when it was close to me at Dollywood and Carowinds, and I've just followed it around since. So I'm super excited to talk about it today.
This is Shawn Montano. I run the ACE YouTube channel with Ben Weinreich. I've been a member since 1992, but I've only attended, I think, 5 or 6 CoasterCons in my lifetime.
I am Luke Reynolds. I am the Assistant Regional Rep for the Pacific Southwest region. And I actually don't know how many CoasterCons I've been to, but I know it's a lot across the country, and I made a lot of friends through it. So that's me.
I think everyone here knows the first day of CoasterCon can be pretty hectic. We have our registration that always kicks everything off. And as people trickle in, we get into the park and we conclude our first night with ERTs. Do you guys have any memorable moments of registration, or just the feel of how maybe chaotic or maybe easygoing if you've kind of become a veteran at it?
I thought everything was pretty easy going. I mean, finding the hotel, going up on to the, what was it, 9th or 12th floor, I can't remember, getting registration, looking for stuff. You know, I'm sure some of you bought some American Coaster Enthusiast paraphernalia, like I did, a new hat, a new shirt, and then went over to the park. I thought everything was really well lined out. Everything was really well planned. And then getting into the park. In fact, the first thing I went to at the park was a SoloCon meetup. So I ran into other attendants like myself that attended CoasterCon by themselves, and, you know, made some new friends, and, you know, randomly throughout the whole week hung out with a few of them. So I thought it was really smooth at the beginning of the CoasterCon this year.
How was your first solo to con?
You know, it was really awesome. I loved it. I really loved it. I loved that I could just get up to a few people, talk to them. I would meet someone and we'd ride like 2 or 3 rides together, and then I'd go to somewhere else and I'd run into someone else, and a lot of people were taking video or pictures, and so I'd walk onto them and talk to them about video. And then I met somebody like Levi Buckholtz, and he was taking a lot of video, and all of a sudden we're like the best of friends, talking coasters, talking video, and we rode, I don't know, 3 or 4 coasters together. And so at each park, I kind of like just did my own thing, but then I just kind of gravitated to a group, and it was just different groups. I mean, I went with Emery and Dave and Mr. Ulrich, the former president, for a while. I was with John Chen. I just really wonderful. I really wanted to experience SoloCon like this, and I if I ever do it again, I'm just it's I know it's called SoloCon, but it's really not solo. I mean, you just meet up with so many people that you've already are acquainted to. Even if it was your first con and you soloed it by yourself, I think you just walk in and meet friends instantaneously.
Kind of feels like kindergarten all over again.
Yeah, it does.
Hannah or Luke, anything that stood out to you guys for the registration portion?
Yeah, I guess I loved how it was on the top floor of the hotel. I don't think I'd seen that in a con before. It made it feel extra special, like we were in a castle or something. And I did love how it was set up. Like one side was all the registration stuff and the store, and then the other side was like the new attendees and orientation stuff. So I thought it felt very special, very well organized, and you did what you needed to do, and then got sent on your way to the park or to your hotel room or whatever you needed to do. And yeah, I loved the Six Flags New England was a very good park to start off the Coaster Con with. They seemed very excited for us to be there. And it seemed like despite some of the weather challenges they were having, they managed to give us even more than we were expecting. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Six Flags New England they definitely stepped it up as coaster enthusiasts. We don't like rain, but sometimes we do. Always made it fun. I know, Hannah, you said Dollywood was your first coaster con. It was mine as well. And, ERT on a wooden coaster in the rain is always a fun little experience that I think everyone should have.
Oh yes, yes. And I will add to the registration thing. I kind of got the other side of it. I volunteered helping hand out registration packets for like the very first hour. So that was like the very first initial like everyone like who wanted to get in there, get their stuff and get to the park. So that was like super like it got me pumping, after a long night the day before or a long day, waking up early the day before to get into the area. It got me pumping and I got me excited to go. And it's funny Luke mentioned the weather because while it was rainy, I thought the days it wasn't raining, the weather was beautiful. So like it felt perfect temperature, and that just kind of set the scene for what the rest of the week was going to be. And it was great. It was awesome.
I think one of the things helping out with registration, if anyone ever gets a chance to do that, taking time to volunteer, it allows you that opportunity to get to know a few new faces right off the bat. And sometimes you find something in common right away and you meet up later in the park. It's a wonderful opportunity to give back to Ace, but it's also that great opportunity to make a new connection. I think we should dive a little bit more into Six Flags New England. I know we talked about a little bit of the rain that we had. I did notice a few Acers jumping around in the rain while we were waiting for rides to open up.
That may have been me. Well, no, you know what I did during the rain is I went to all the water rides. Did Blizzard River. There was no lines for that. You got water ride ERT during the rain and you're already wet anyway.
Right?
So that was fun to do with a few acers. Some of us did I forget what it's called, but the chair sling ride on the tower. That was extra scary in the rain.
I can only imagine. Oh
So
my goodness.
So yeah, no, it was fun. The rain gave it an extra added flavor, and I don't think it really caused too many rides to close. I was shocked at like I thought Quantum Accelerator with that tire drive launch would close, but I kept seeing it cycling full of riders the entire day that it was raining. So I was very impressed with the operations.
I think I was also one of them that, jumped in the puddle just a few times. I had to change out shoes for the rest of the trip, but hey, it was worth it. Did anyone get a chance to do some of the behind the scenes tours during New England?
I did the Thunderbolt tour, and going inside the structure is always a benefit for being an ACE member. And so there were a lot of us in there taking pictures and things. And one of the members of the I think it was the marketing team was talking about the coaster, but additionally, there were two workers that were walking in the mornings, they walk the track to make turns back, and both workers stopped and they were just answering questions from all us enthusiasts. And I thought that was really cool that they just stopped and, people were geeking out about all of the things about roller coasters. And I was like, I appreciate they've got a job to do. They got to get a roller coaster open for the, general public. But the fact that they stopped and talked to us for 10 minutes, I thought that was really, I don't know, I was really, I thought that was really great to them just to say hi and, ask any questions, and they answered all the questions. So I thought that was really good.
I like that. I do. I think a lot of us take for granted sometimes when the parks take those few minutes out of their own day to share something from their own experience. It definitely allows all of us to come together and grow a little bit, learn a little bit more, and be able to share more on our journey. Did anyone else go to a behind the scenes tour?
Yeah, I did the Wicked Cyclone infield tour, and that was really cool too. Like not only, obviously, you get in there and they were, and there was people who were like sitting on the track, even though they're like, yeah, your pants are gonna be stained with grease for like the rest of the trip. But more power to them, I guess. Gotta get those pictures. But and what's even cooler than just like taking all the pictures with the angles you wouldn't normally get was they were telling us about the little boat that's in the middle of like the back part of the ride. That boat was actually like donated to the park. Like it was like an actual boat that had been in operation, and then once like it was out of service, they like just gave it to the park. Was like, here, you can use this for your theming. And so it's just like little cool like trivia facts that you get to learn. That's so cool about those things, because when else would you learn that the boat was actually a functional boat at one point? Because it just looks like, you know, decor. And that was super cool. So I was so happy to learn that little tidbit of information.
Thank you for sharing that. That I would never have guessed. Another thing while we were at New England was we had the photo contest set up. Did you guys do any of the voting for the photo contest?
Yeah, I definitely did. It was one of my stops before I rode the water rides in the rain. But yeah, no, it was fun. I liked, they were very organized in like making sure no one cheated. Like you had to give your member number, and then you had to put it in a box and then confirm online, and it was fun. And then there's a lot of very creative pictures out there, and so yeah, I had fun perusing the vast amount of pictures and choosing which ones I thought were were the most fun.
Are you going to join in and submit a couple of photos for next year's CoasterCon?
Maybe I give it a 50% shot. There, I don't know if I could even compete with some of the ones I was seeing.
I want to thank Emery, who's now an honorary ACE member, who has run the contest for so long. I don't think anyone knows quite the effort that he and Dave and all of those volunteers do setting up that contest, getting everything ready, bringing everything from their vehicles into the various parks that we've done this over the years. I mean, they contribute a lot of their time not riding roller coasters to make sure that thing goes well. So I think we should all be thanking Emery and David and everyone else so much for how much they contribute to that. And then, we talk about some of the photos. I know the first place photo this year was the Dollywood um dog, the lift chain. I think that was the first place one. And that was a tremendous photo. One of my favorite photos was the Sea Dragon, the girl pulling the brake. I think it was a woman pulling the brake on the Sea Dragon. I mean, those were some tremendous photos, but just the amount of effort that us enthusiasts take to create great photos of roller coasters. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, and you guys see there's 600 of us, and probably 500 of us had a good camera going around the park taking really excellent photos. And I'm like, wow, we really document the heck out of all of these events. And I was just like, wow. And, just to see a year or how many years of photos in one batch, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely giving Emery and Dave and anyone who shares even a little bit of time helping with that photo contest. It goes off without a hitch every year. This year, they were trying to incorporate the test run of doing a digital voting system, making sure that that was working as well. Uh, and Shawn, just like you said, seeing all the photos and videos and everything, watching as everyone's got their cameras up, their phones up. I know you are busy going through all of the content that's been shared during CoasterCon and everything that you do behind the scenes for Ace and the media team. We definitely appreciate. So thank you for that as well.
You are welcome. Yeah, it takes. I mean, I'm going through all of the video and photos from CoasterCon, and it's so much material out there. And there's all the material that I have access to, but I know there are 100 people that took photos and videos that I don't have access to, which is fine. Not everyone has to contribute stuff because there's so much, but it's just amazing how we as a club can document a week of just all of these images and videos. It's just like every single, you're like, oh, I wonder if there's a photo of this. Yes, there is. I wonder if there's video of that. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing how much work as a collaborative we put into documenting this event.
I think a lot of people outside of Ace don't see the passion in these coasters that we see, especially during CoasterCon. When we get those opportunities to go behind the scenes, when we get the opportunity to, record that launch or that slow lift hill experience, capturing videos of our friends as they're screaming their heads off, turning the corner. There is a passion behind that I know a lot of people don't understand, but it is a totally different world, and we all come together to share it, and I love it. I think one of the things as well, it's not just about the coasters. It's not just about taking pictures. There are so many other experiences that we have, like I think we were at Six Flags New England when we had the Midway Olympics, right?
Yes.
I think Hannah, you said you kind of helped out with coordinating the Midway Olympics. How crazy was that to watch? How competitive was everybody?
Oh, it is honestly like that is probably my favorite thing to volunteer to do every year is the Midway Olympics. And because you just see like I used to get to see all the teams going through. I ended up with like probably the hardest game that I was scorekeeping, which was like the little bottle, like toss the ring on the bottle caps. And every time I have people coming up, oh, has anybody got it yet? And I'm like, no. And it was just that. And everyone was, they were trying and then just seeing everyone going like place to place and seeing all that. And then my dad was actually helping too. He was at the very end taking the group photos. And so like looking back on that, we were going through looking at them and just seeing the spirit that some people put into it, like the coordinated outfits, the very well thought out team names, just seeing how like into it people got was it's always so fun to see because they treat that like it is the actual Olympics and I love that for them.
I did not know that there were costumes involved. What have I been missing?
Um no, yeah, no, there was one group, they all had the like Ace Hawaiian shirt that was in the store that week. I know like Jess Niemiec and all of her crew, they all had like matching shirts that they had pre like ordered or whatever that had like, their team name on it. And then there's a couple that had like matching coaster shirts or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love the coordinated outfits. I can, yeah, I'm like, I see we have, I see who the team members are here. It was so fun.
Oh, I knew that people got, energized and they started acting like little kids, but costume coordination, that's a whole new level. I think maybe we should have a little bit more of that. I would love to see them running through the park just completely matchy as they go on these rides.
Oh yeah, I know there was one. There was one who had the most bright fluorescent orange stuff. And they kept wearing it throughout the whole day because I kept like I could see him across the whole park. I'm like, oh, there's that thing. All into the night. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun. Oh, I know the A shirt that you were talking about, that kind of Hawaiian A shirt. I did buy one of those and I like it. I enjoy it. I like the new merch that they've had coming out and I can't wait to see what they do next. Maybe they'll have an Ace fluorescent orange shirt that the rest of us can all wear running through the park. So you'll be like, oh, I know who they're with, you know?
Yeah, I think that's even funnier because the Six Flags parks all have those Snickers ads that are like, "Oh, can you not find the other 20 people in the same neon yellow shirt as you? You need a Snickers." And that just full circle moment would that would be.
Oh, that's awesome. We have an election year this year, and after the business meeting, they did the election platform. I was not in the park during this time. I was making my way back because I was one of those that ventured out to do a side quest at another park. But Luke, I believe you said that you were running for secretary.
Yes. So yeah, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Six Flags New England because they got new, or I think they rented out like bigger seats for everybody and more seats. So they must have between day one and day two, they like completely switched out everything in the theater. So there was room for everyone to sit down more comfortably. So that was awesome. And so they had the video contest, and then they had the business meeting, and then they went into the speeches and question and answer session for all the candidates. So that was a lot of time for a lot of ACE members to be sitting down, and Six Flags New England did definitely go out of their way to make it more comfortable for everyone. So definitely appreciated that. Though I probably didn't appreciate it as much as other people since I was very nervous throughout the first two meetings, knowing I had to give a speech during the final portion of it. But no, it went well. I think one of my thoughts during the first half of CoasterCon was like, I don't really need to be nervous about public speaking this time around, just because the coaster enthusiasts are more my people. I don't have to worry about coming off too nerdy because I'm right there with with everyone else, and they're all nerdy with me. So that was a nice a thought I was having the whole time, and honestly, all the candidates were pretty great, and I was, yeah, just happy to be ranked among them. So
Well, good luck to you in your campaign. I believe it's another week or two before we find out.
it's exactly, I think it's exactly a week from now. I think it should be July 16th when the results come out. So yeah, by the time this airs, though, the people listening will probably already know. So,
Well, good luck to everyone that's running. I know we've got a lot of really great candidates this year, and I know a lot of people have already put in their votes, and it's nice to see everyone kind of sharing their opinions and actually having conversations. So we will see what comes of it, but I know I'm excited, as I'm sure you are too, Luke, but probably a little more nervous than excited.
no, I'm excited.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I'm not. I am I feel like Ace is in good hands no matter what happens, and yeah, I'm just happy that I think I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure this was the first year that Ace had a competitive election in every single position. Which I feel like just speaks to the strength of the organization and the fact that more people want to get involved. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is awesome. It's nice to see that a lot of people are stepping up and wanting to, help ACE move forward through the years coming up.
I'm not sure this is podcast worthy, but I'm glad Luke is recognizing that there is more participation. As someone in my early years of ACE, I really just didn't pay attention to any of the business side of ACE. I don't know, that was silly of me. So I encourage anyone listening to this podcast to read the business meeting uh, book, to go and watch the business meeting video, and to go and watch the election video, even after the election, to get to know these people. I think it's really important to know that there is a lot to this organization, and riding roller coasters is a very small percentage. But unless we have good leadership, and leadership that recognizes upcoming leadership, we're just going to be stuck in the water. And so I appreciate not only the leadership, but the leadership tree that's being built. And Luke, if you are elected to this role, I assume and I hope that you do your 4 years and then go to the next thing and go to vice president and eventually become president, because I think once you get into that leadership role and you understand how the organization works and that you can contribute and you can see your ideas and how you can navigate or, ride the storm. I mean, Ace has weathered a lot of good and bad over the 48 years, 47 years of existence. So again, I'm proud to know you, Luke, and that the fact that you're running for office, and I hope that others are inspired by you.
Oh, thanks. And yeah, no, I think the one good thing I definitely have seen this election so far is that I've had a lot of people, uh, not even to me, but just in general, like be more aware and be like, I never even knew how to vote for ace elections. And like this is the first year like I'm interested because there is so many different races, and you're like, oh, who's gonna come out ahead? So I feel like it is getting the situation is gaining more attention to the parts of Ace that have previously been a little bit more overlooked. So I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you, Shawn, for mentioning that everyone should go and take a look at the recordings of the business meeting and the election platform. There's so much to learn. There's always something new to learn about this organization. And that's the first step, is just take time to read the booklet when it comes out, whether you go to CoasterCon or not. It's just nice to take a look and appreciate all the behind the scenes efforts that it takes to run and keep this organization going so we can continue to help these parks out. We are on day four of CoasterCon. We leave Six Flags New England and we make our way over to Lake Compounce, which is now a Herschend park. There's a lot of shifts that have been happening in the coaster community, and this is one of them. It's also the oldest operating amusement park in the US. Started off as a trolley park, a nice, simple little trolley park, and it has grown to what it is today. Did anyone go to the history presentation about the park?
Yeah, I went to the history presentation, and it was a good background on the park. And again, you're saying one of the oldest parks in the United States, and the history and how it built. Um, Even before I went into the presentation, I was just I've never been to Lake Compounce. This is my first time, and so in the parking lot, you don't see the amusement park. You're like, there's trees, and then there's trees, and I was like, there's stuff behind these trees, and then obviously we walk in, and I'm like, oh, there's the amusement park. So I was just it's very well hidden, and it's a quaint little park. And so, understanding the history and how this park came about, and the river, and how it became just a destination to now an amusement park with, rides. I think it was a really great journey, and to see these little parks still thriving, and they're not surviving, they're thriving. I mean, Boulder Dash is not a cheap roller coaster, so they're doing it right.
I know they're still going to be working on Boulder Dash a little bit. I know I rode it once. They had done the retracking with the Titan track up in the front of after the lift hill, but it got a bit rough in the back, and I heard a lot of people commenting on the roughness through the terrain, but they still appreciated the layout and the views from Boulder Dash.
Well, I think this is where ERT comes in handy. So when you can rewrite a coaster, like literally not get out of your seat, then you can expect the bumps, you know. So you could, where to brace, and I thought that made it more enjoyable. So you're like, okay, now I know. And so the second time I wrote it, I was like, okay, I get it. And then the next time I wrote it, so I wrote it like, I would say 5 times in a row without getting out of my seat. And that last, I was like, okay, I understand how, this coaster was once the best roller coaster in the United States. And so I can respect that now to see, I mean, and it's on the side of a mountain. I mean, you just have to appreciate some guy or some person said, okay, can we put a roller coaster right there? And another person said, okay, let's do this. And they created this magnificent ride on the side of a mountain. I just think, we have to appreciate the logistics of just that and then maintaining it. I mean, it's a lot of work. And in the presentation, they were talking about it's a lot of work to get that Titan track up the hillside, right? We don't want to cut down trees. And so it's just, they have to plan what sections they're doing and how they can get that Titan track up the hill. So I think we should just appreciate the whole coaster as a dynamic architectural wonder.
No, I definitely feel you. And I think that the funniest thing for me was like several years ago, it was like the opposite. Like you would go and everyone's like, oh, Boulder Dash is amazing, but Wildcat is so rough, I can't enjoy it. And then I still had some of those residual like comments in my mind when I got there and I rode Wildcat. I'm like, this is amazing. This is one of the smoothest wooden roller coasters I've ever ridden in my life. And that it did take, I feel like almost a decade for Wildcat to get to that place. And so I am fully confident that in 5 years, 5, 10 years, the Boulder Dash, they'll get both of those coasters in absolute tip-top shape, and everyone will be marathoning both coasters over and over and over again. But as it was, I think I did gain a little bit of evil enjoyment riding Boulder Dash. And just hearing some of the sounds that people would make when it went from the smooth section to the not so smooth section. And then I also thought there was like on the rough section on the way back, it's like all wood, and then there's one airtime hill that's steel, that's the Titan track again, and that's like the most blissful airtime hill I've ever experienced. Not just because the airtime, because it's like the eye of the storm before you plunge back in. So that was a very memorable moment for me. But yeah, no, I definitely the park in general felt was very fun and showed a lot of promise. I left the park thinking, wow, I'm gonna come back in a few years and it's going to I can already see the areas where I'm gonna be impressed how much they've improved in a few years.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. I was thinking, talking about all that. Not only like I stayed and watched the like his presentation and everything too, and not only like just learning about it was super cool. And just hearing like you could hear how passionate they were as they were talking about it, and that just I think adds to that idea that Luke was talking about that you're gonna come back in 5, 10 years, and it's gonna improve because the people who are there are so passionate about keeping it that fun little park that it is. And I think that's amazing. And I agree with Luke. I think Wildcat was probably my standout. I purposely made that the last ride I rode on my way out. I was like, this is my last memory of the park before we headed up to Sycamores Great Escape.
oh, come on. No one wanted to finish off with the kiddie coaster? That line was massive.
I did do the kiddie coaster. I waited 45 minutes for that. Got that credit. But I
Yeah.
still finished on Wildcat because I still had time on my way out.
Yeah, that was probably one of like the most fun, like oddly fun 45 minutes of my life because we're all collectively waiting for this little kitty coaster. And they started like, at like two people in a car and then like, ah, okay, just three people, and they just, just to keep the line moving, they cut it down to just going around one time just to get us through. And I have to give props to the park and especially that ride operator for putting up with our nonsense for probably the whole 2 hours, I'm assuming. One of my friends did it the right way. He literally left the history presentation like before the trivia was even over, and he stood there for an hour before ERT even started waiting to ride it. So I think that was apparently the way to go. But that was such a fun, interesting thing that I don't think I'll ever forget just because of how unique it was.
Yeah, I was one of those early birds in line, so I sat down and I think I was eighth in line to get that kitty credit. With you guys waiting for 45 minutes, were you there when one of the supervisors and the two ride-ups came around the corner and saw the line?
Yes. My dad was literally like, "Oh my gosh, they're sending in help," and then they just left. And we're like, "Oh, nope, the one guy's on his own." Oh man, he'd be okay. He's got this.
The three came together around the corner. Two of them looked extremely puzzled. They had no idea why a bunch of grown adults are lining up for a kiddie coaster. and they just shook their heads the entire time. The ride operator, who did stay and take care of everybody, was laughing and asking everyone as he's walking down, "You're here for the kiddie coaster, right?" And everyone's like, "Oh yeah," and they're all cheering and excited and everything. And here he comes and he's like, "But why?" And without skipping a beat, I think it was a good 20 people in unison going, "A credit's a credit." And he just shook his head. He's like, "All right, I'll open the line up." I will share one thing about waiting in that line. Something that we as coaster enthusiasts see every once in a while, and that was the spark of a kid learning to love coasters. At that coaster, sitting at right there in the beginning, I was sitting right between the entrance and the exit to the ride. And there was this little girl who ran through the front entrance, got on the coaster, arms up the entire time, giggling and laughing, got off the ride, ran out the exit, right back into the entrance. And she did that about 15 times before they said, "Now it's the adults' turn." And she goes, "Well, that's not fair." A bunch of acers just look at each other, "Give her a card now, give her a card now." But we like seeing that next generation get excited, because then we see that same passion that we had when we were kids too. And you can't beat that. I don't think anyone can beat that particular moment.
I never thought about that. What you just said, we all were in that line to get that credit, but I bet you all of us had that coaster sometime in our lives when we were 5, 6, 7 years old. And that's a great connection. I really never made that connection that we all have this connection to this little kiddie coaster. And when we're on it, we go back to a time when we were, hands in the air. That's a great connection. And all of us that stood in that line, I'm I'm sure at least 200 of us stood in that line, if not more, to ride that coaster, and we all have that same experience, and we could all share that for years and years. I know I will never forget the coaster, but the experience of walking up and seeing so many people in line, and I'm like, you guys are dorks. I got to get in line now. That's great.
Yep, we have found our people.
Yeah.
Who walked to the pavilion for lunch and who took the train?
I walked over there.
I walked.
I was
Yeah.
warned about how long of a walk it was, so once I did it, it didn't feel that bad. And I also, before going to the park, I had no idea there was a raft ride over there. And so I was very excited to see this raft ride, and I did end up riding it while I made that trek as well.
Yeah, I walked up there and then I rode the train back. So I got the best of both worlds. After I ate, my fair share of the buffet lunch, I had to ride the train back and keep recharging myself a little bit.
Which path do you think was the most scenic? Your walk there or the train back?
I feel like the train back was probably more scenic. I think you could see more of like through the trees and stuff. I mean, maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but like just I guess the angle that like the train, because it like loops around, so you're on the other side, um, going back, or no, it'd be the same side either way. Okay. But yeah, like just seeing the scenic stuff, I think you got a better angle of it from the train ride, because it really all I could see, I think all I remember seeing was just trees and trees and more trees. The occasional glimpse of water, but it was just a bunch of trees, and then on the back you could see the like park peeking through the trees, and it was really pretty.
Okay.
The train ride was definitely the more picturesque. Um, as I'm searching through all these photos and videos, a lot of people got the timing right, and so they've gotten really good videos or photos of Boulder Dash coming on the backside, coming back to the station, and so that it was a really good patch. So if you were lucky enough where the train was, in that window of no trees, and you could see Boulder Dash, there was a really good group of photos and videos that I saw. So I love that part.
I love the fact that there were two different opportunities to get a view of the park just to get to lunch and back. Uh, I I saw several people with their phones out on that train, getting just timing it right to get right between the trees, like you said, Shawn. And everyone would like they would take their shot, they'd look at their phone, dang it, I missed it, put their phone back up. They're all looking for that perfect shot just so they could send it in, or just so they have that opportunity. Oh, I'm gonna turn this into the photo contest next year. And you saw it on their face, like they were like, "Ah, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it." So I'm glad that people have sent that in to you, and that you've had a chance to look through there, because I honestly can't wait to see what you piece together, Shawn, and always looking forward to that. So at Lake Compounce during our ERT session, we had a couple hundred people at the kiddie coaster, few people on the roller coasters. And then there was the long line for the quote unquote snack buffet. Did anyone go and see the chaos there?
Oh yeah, I did. I went straight there. When I saw the kitty line, I'm like, I'm gonna wait in the food line first and then eat my food while I'm in the kitty line. So so I went and I filled my plate with I forgot what, because I expected it to be just desserts. They had like churros and fudge and stuff, but then they had a whole nother section with like real food, like a bunch of meat and tacos and like all this stuff. And so I got a plate, like I got the one thing of the meat stuff, and then I got the other plate of the dessert stuff, and then took my two plates over to the kitty coaster line, and I was very happy.
That's so smart. That is probably the smartest idea I've ever heard, because you get to eat, and you're stuck in line anyways, so you might as well might as well eat while you're there.
Did anyone watch as people left with the to-go boxes from the snack buffet? That was crazy. Normally, we go to a park, we have our ERT, we have our snacks. The snacks are nice, light little treats. This snack buffet was an end of the night full meal, it seemed like. Like you said, Luke, there was walking tacos, there's like different pulled pork, chicken, everything, and then the other side was all the desserts. And people were taking to-go boxes of every flavor of fudge they had available. And they weren't even the small pieces. They were these like large bricks. And then when everyone was getting off of Wildcat after ERT and everyone's heading out, there was an announcement saying, we don't want to keep any of this. Everyone take stuff home. And I'm watching Acers walk out with 3 or 4 to-go containers of the food going, yep, here we go. Which
Wow.
it goes into that whole joke about American catering enthusiasts, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Oh,
No, I heard someone say don't stand between an Acer and a buffet line. And that was on like the first, second day too. And every time we got in a line, I thought about that. It just cracked me up. But no, we were one of the ones with the fudge going out. And the only bad thing was that my mom was not with us, because she is the fudge eater in our house, or in our family. So the fudge eater was not there to eat fudge, and it was not gonna be able to come back with us on the plane. But it still got enjoyed, but not as much as it would if my mom had been there.
Yeah, I don't know if you all remember. I think one of you said that was your first CoasterCon, the one in Dollywood in
yep.
Carowinds. But I was thinking about that. Remember that Fury got a crack literally right after American Coaster Enthusiast went to Dollywood, and I saw a comment that's like, "This is what happens when you feed Acers at Dollywood and then send them to Carowinds. The coaster develops a crack." And so
Yep.
I kept thinking, well, if Great Escape gets some stress fractures on their track, we know whose fault it is. Herschend feeding us again at the park right before.
I love that correlation because yeah, it was a Herschend park that went to Carowinds, and now it was a Herschend park feeding us again. We do get treated very well during our CoasterCon events, and shout out to the parks, because they give us so many opportunities. They give us so many experiences and new adventures and great memories to take away. And I mean, we've shared so much, and we're only 2 of our parks in. The fun just got better. It just kept increasing through the whole week. And you know what? I was there for it. I know everyone else was enjoying themselves too. We had a little bit, extra trek going from Lake Compounce all the way up to Great Escape. It was still a lot of fun. And, Great Escape, now an Enchanted park instead of Six Flags. We were able to kick off our event with behind the scenes tours there. We saw several milestones hit while we were at Great Escape. I think I saw at least 10 that were on Bobcat alone. And I think Hannah, which milestone? I think you got a milestone on Bobcat as well. Which one was that?
Bobcat was my 400th coaster. And what made that, it was just so exciting. And what made it, I guess, more fun was that the way it worked is that that had to be the very last coaster I rode on the trip. Like that was like, it was either like if there was anything not open, I wouldn't have hit it, like out of all the parks we went to. So luckily that worked out. So that was the very last thing I had to hit. And so after the first day, with the boomerang being closed all day, and then we couldn't ride the kiddie coaster until ERT, and then it was raining during ERT. So we couldn't ride the kiddie coaster the next morning. So it was just like a whole big, like, all the stuff that had to get done to get there. And we finally, that was, so rode everything that we could the first day. During ERT the next morning, waited outside, got to the parking lot like an hour and a half early to be like, I was on the first train on the kiddie coaster that morning. Was literally was speed walking. Let me be part. I was literally speed walking back to the kiddie coaster with some of my friends, and we were the first train on that. Then we went to go to the boomerang, and then was just kind of hanging around because there wasn't much to do, except we were just talking to people on the kiddie coaster line. And then finally had to wait for the park to open, and I went and did that. It was super cool because there was also a bunch of acers doing the like a behind the scenes tour at the same time. So like they're all like in the like around the area while I'm riding it. It was just such a fun time. And I'm so glad that was my experience for my milestone.
I'm hoping someone got a video of you on there then, if all the Acers are doing the behind the scenes.
I know Jess was down there. I don't know if she got a picture or a video, but I know she was down there. I saw her with her phone out. So maybe she did. I don't know. I probably should text her and see.
And then I know I had two people from North Central, my region, that got their milestones on there as well. And there was a young one, I want to say they were younger than 12, got a milestone on Bobcat as well. And I love seeing the milestones, like the early milestones of the kids in Ace. I get so excited when I see those. I'm like, I can't wait to see your numbers because none of us really started counting when we were little. And it's like, yes, you have a mom and dad that's keeping track. Good. I personally get excited about that. I've been able to walk with my kids through their experiences and seeing the younger generations get excited to celebrate those milestones, and they high five others that they see getting their milestones, and they are getting immersed in this community so well, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm young enough that I remember like all my milestones when I was younger too. Like I started riding coasters when I was around 10. And I don't know, we were like fully aware of everything. It's like we were counting from pretty much as soon as we started riding. And so like I'm young enough now that I can still remember all that. So it's super cool to see like who are now like the 10 and 12-year-olds doing the same thing. So I completely agree.
There were so many ace landmarks throughout this trip. I mean, we got back in New England, we had Thunderbolt, and that was fun getting the behind the scenes there. I know personally, I was kind of excited for Comet. I had heard so many things. I mean, personally, I had never been in that area of the United States yet. So everything out there was a new park for me. And I know a lot of others are like, I've never made it up here before. There were so many people who are like, this is my first time here. This is my first time here. And many people that were looking, to experience Comet for the first time. Yes, we were all excited for Bobcat too. We're not going to hide that. We were all excited for Bobcat, but Comet was something unique. And if I remember correctly, I believe it was Shawn, you kind of wanted to get this particular credit.
So when I started becoming a coaster enthusiast way back in the 1990s, long before the internet, we had to read books. And so I gobbled up all of the books that I could about roller coasters. And one of the roller coasters that I learned was the notorious Crystal Beach Cyclone. And I heard so many stories and I read so many stories about this coaster. I'm like, man, if only I had a time machine, I would travel back to the, 1920s and ride this terrifying thing that gave people headaches. And, there's a nurse at the unloading station. And then I learned that parts of this coaster were reworked and to create the Comet. And then later on, the Comet moved from Ontario, Canada to upstate New York. And so it's been on my bucket list for over 30 years. I have never made the trek up to upstate New York until 2026. And so when they announced CoasterCon 48 in upstate New York, I'm like, I'm finally getting a chance to ride a coaster that I've been dreaming about for over 30 years. So, just getting on that coaster, I'm like, wow, I mean, there's so much history. And so not only there's history, but then we got the behind the scenes tour. And so we were on the backside of the coaster while the coaster was running. So I thought that was, again, great. But then you're just looking up this coaster and you're looking at the structure and there are so many stories in this structure that we will never hear, but at least we can imagine the trek of this coaster and how much just this coaster has of just history and relationship to the coaster, any coaster enthusiast, not just American coaster enthusiasts, that rode this coaster. I mean, grandparents, great grandparents had some kind of connection to this coaster. So I thought, it's just one of those coasters that you're like, wow, I finally rid it. It's like one of those bucket list things.
How many times did you get a chance to ride it?
Um, I rode it nonstop for like a half hour on Friday, and then I rode it in the rain for about a half hour as well. I didn't care it was raining. I just kept going. The rain didn't, disturb me. But the morning, I went right to it after we stopped our ERT. I went right to the back of the park, and nobody's at the park, so I rode it at least a half hour and I didn't get out of my seat. I just stayed. And I think I was in the back, like the back, almost maybe the one row behind the back. And I loved it. I just love that coaster. I just love everything about it. And the fact that thing just makes right turns. I mean, sorry, left turns. It just makes left turns. It's still a wonderful roller coaster.
Do you prefer the front or the back of the coaster then?
Well, each coaster has what car you like to ride, but I prefer the back on the Comet. I just loved it. I loved the airtime. I loved the lateral G's. So yeah, I like the back of the coaster on Comet.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Moments like that where you get to hit a bucket list item, where you get to hit a milestone, where you get to experience something that you have dreamed about. Uh, I know there are so many stories out there from each of the enthusiasts about what their dream coaster is or what their milestone coaster they want to be and bucket list coasters. I know I still want to go back home. I want to go back to Korea. I know others they were on this trip and they're like, I just want to get Wildcat. And I'm like, okay, you go for it, you go for the coasters you want. Some were even saying that they wanted to go and experience a different park in the area because hey, they're finally in the area that has the coaster that they want. Hearing those stories, hearing those opportunities being taken is so much fun to hear. I think every year we go to CoasterCon and we hear about the side quests and the extra journeys or what parks they hit on the way to CoasterCon or on their way back home, and you follow along with the new friends and you see the excitement continue after. So much fun. Hannah, I know you said people were doing the behind the scenes of Bobcat. Were you able to do a behind the scenes of Bobcat or Comet?
No, I wasn't. We had one, I think, for the first day, and I wanted to do that one, but my dad was in we must ride all the coasters mode. So I was riding all the coasters. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, he was being very patient. I'm like, I'll let you have this one. That's the fun of traveling with your parents as as an adult yourself. It's like, okay, I'll let you have your fun for a little while because he was like, oh, we're doing too much social stuff. But yeah, so yeah, we stuck to the coaster riding and the flat ride riding. So, but I think for me it was worth it.
How many of you are actually those kind of people too, that where if you're at a new park, even if it's Coaster Con, even if it's Spring Con, you have to get the new rides in first before you do anything else in the park.
Yep, that's me. There's even a saying among some of the coaster enthusiasts when we're in that mode is coasters before friends. Or like oh if you haven't got that roller coaster, go leave us and get it. And then you can come back and join the group because we know everyone needs those credits. But no, fortunately, and what's cool about these events is you can usually do that within like 2 hours of being at the park, and then you've done all the stuff you really feel like you have to do, and then you can just hang out with everyone the rest of the time.
I guess that's one of the bonuses of having an organization or like the buddy club like we've got here, where everyone understands what the goal is during an event like this. It's, hey, we're gonna get all the new credits we can, and then we're gonna do everything else that we want to do and just share it. I know, Shawn, you being solo to con this year, you didn't have anyone holding you back going, hey, we're gonna hit all of these coasters now and then we'll go do this later. You got to make your own schedule. How did that compare to, going with other people to Coaster Con, being able to kind of coordinate your own schedule?
So, like last year, it was me, my wife, and my daughter. And so, my daughter's now almost 16-year-old. She was 15-year-old. So, you want to make sure that she's riding the rides she wants to ride and things like that. And, like last year, we rode Raging Wolf like nonstop and other rides. But then, I wanted to do something else, and she wanted to do like a silly ride. There's some silly rides in the parks. I'm like, okay, fine, let's go do the silly rides. And so I didn't have that, so I didn't have to worry about the silly rides. I could just do the rides that I really wanted to. So I thought that was the advantage of, doing solos. Like, well, if I wanted to go do a silly ride, I'm sure I could find some money. And if I wanted to go solo, the only part of SoloCon that I didn't like, and I should have planned this more, when I was at Lake Compounce, you couldn't ride the Ferris wheel solo. And so I walked up to the thing, and he's like, "You can't ride alone, at least two people." And I was like, "Oh." And then I never got back to the Ferris wheel, but I was like, "Oh, you know what? Something that I need to think about is certain rides you can't ride solo, so I need to plan that better. So if I ever do a solo con again and there's a ride, of that where there's limitations that I need to plan that better. But I loved being on my own and doing my own thing. And then all of a sudden you're just like standing there and someone just walks up and you have a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes about whatever. And then they walk that way and you walk that way and then you run into someone else. So again, anyone listening to this who's thinking about going solo, go do it. It's a lot of fun. And I never ate alone. Never. If I sat down alone, someone came and sat across from me and started a conversation, or I went and found someone that I knew. But that was something that I really didn't expect. I never ate a meal alone, and I'm very thankful to the people that we know and don't know. I sat next to people that I didn't know, and then a half hour later, I knew their entire life story. So, that's just one of those great things about our great buffets. And, we haven't really talked about all of the food. I mean, we talked about how Lake Compounce had great food. Six Flags New England had great food. But one of the things that I thought was just a crowning achievement is Great Escape had steaks that were cooked very well. So cooking 1,000 steaks and getting them out to people like us and doing a really good job. I was very impressed with 1,000 very well cooked steaks. They weren't burnt, they weren't rare. They were a lot of them were pink in the middle. I was like, wow, that is a lot of work. So I appreciate Great Escape for even attempting the steak and then giving us a great steak.
Again, we are so spoiled with that, but I appreciate your feedback on the solo to con experiences. I would maybe say if we go to another event, whether it's Coaster Con or even on a regional basis, uh, if we have the opportunity where we have people traveling solo and we have those rides that are like, well, you need at least two people to go, maybe coordinate the solo to con meetup at those particular rides so you can get to know someone else who's going solo. Just any opportunity to be able to help build those relationships and the community that we have here. I mean, we do a great job anyways. Like you said, you never sat alone at any of the dinners, any of the lunches that we had. And I don't think anyone should ride alone either. And having those opportunities where you have to have two people to ride, I think would be a great opportunity for solo to con meetups.
I agree. I think now that I've done it and now that I've seen and talked to so many solo people, I think we should have a little more of a robust plan. I mean, there was a solo person, Jeremy, I don't remember his last name. He doesn't drive. And so we were at breakfast one morning and he's like, could I get a ride at the park? I'm like, sure. He's like, could I pay you? I'm like, no, I'm not going to accept any payment. But he talked about he doesn't drive and he just doesn't drive. So all of this planning, he figures out how to get a ride to and from the park. And I'm sure he's not the only one that maybe has that limitation. And so if I think we could open up more avenues to say, hey, even if you don't drive, if you can't afford, we could figure out, pairing up people with rental cars. I think we'd have more people that, I mean, I'm sure that you have, like a Facebook page. There are all these enthusiast clubs that are beyond Ace. And many of these people go to parks by themselves because they don't have anyone around them. They're core friends that like roller coasters as much as we like. And so I think if we had more of a, I don't know, an avenue or a, like, look, this, all of you solo cons, we have this little trek for you. I think we'd have even more attendees and, even solo tables and they all meet up and things like that. So I really respect some of the people that I met that have been solo conning for years. They do this. They've been doing solo con for 10 years, 15 years. And I'm like, wow, that's just amazing that you do this not by yourself, but from your destination to the parks. And then obviously you have millions of friends to ride. But yeah, solo cons are a thing that I think if you need to do it and you'll love it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it takes a lot to get to CoasterCon. It does. It takes a lot to get to, any of our national events for some people. I have heard people take it, it's the whole planes, trains, and automobiles, and then even people that are, you know, Airbnb, hotels, staying at a friend's house, camping, car camping. People are sleeping in their cars while doing CoasterCon. Um, and you hear all these experiences. There are ways to do it. There's always a way to do it, and there's always someone to talk about it with. And I think leading up to some of these large national events, yeah, coordinating something for the solos, coordinating something for those that are traveling maybe a bit differently, and getting tips and tricks along the way might be a great thing for a digital event, Hannah. Uh, I think there's a lot of great growth opportunities, and doing the digital events definitely connects everyone from coast to coast. And we appreciate the fact that you're stepping up and taking that reign. And honestly, we can't wait to see what you do with it, because again, even the digital meetups leading up to CoasterCon are key for a lot of our small groups. And there's a lot of effort that goes into that. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to work on. I mean, I've been doing the digital bits for like the first half of the year, but I'm super excited to really jump into it now and see where we can take it.
CoasterCon 48, but Rubber Ducky Regatta number 10, a full decade of Rubber Ducky Regatta. How many of you guys bought at least one duck?
I love the ducks. My dad, the ducks literally got my dad on a whole thing. Now me and my sister buy him ducks for every like Father's Day, his birthday, everything. He has an army of ducks in front of his TV now. Um, but yeah, no, I love watching the rubber ducky regatta, and I think it's such a great way to donate to like to preservation. And that's just, like obviously it's super fun to watch a bunch of ducks go down the river. But then also it's for such a good cause too. Oh yes, Shawn has his rubber duck from this year. But no, it's just all around it's such a great thing. And that is one of the highlights of Coaster Con for me, honestly, as silly as it seems, is getting to watch the rubber ducks go down the lazy river, even if I'm probably never gonna win. It's still fun, and that's what matters.
The fact that a bunch of coaster enthusiasts stop what they're doing, go to the water side of an amusement park, and watch little ducks float down a lazy river is just something to see. You're like, we are all taking a break from what we love, obviously to support, preservation, things like that. But we're watching little duckies, and you see all these little comments, come on, little ducky, you can do it. And I'm like, this is just craziness. So if you have not sat and watched a rubber ducky regatta, you need to experience that, but experience the people and the joy they get from these little rubber duckies. It's just something you can't put in words. You have to experience it. And that's one of those things you have to be at con to experience.
You do, you definitely do. And Janine, Mike, Tom Revy, they do such an amazing job with that event. They get everyone so excited for the event and getting creative with the fact that each year it's a new duck design and you get to have your little collection. It's not only for Jeep people, it is something for everybody. And I know I appreciate it. Shawn, I appreciate the fact that, the listeners can't see the rubber ducky that you held up, but this year's had the Statue of Liberty theme to our duck, which honestly appropriate. We're celebrating a decade of the rubber duckies. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of America. It was kind of fitting that it was the Statue of Liberty. It's definitely fun to see, again, it's watching grown adults having so much fun that they're acting like kids again and they're just enjoying themselves and making those memories, cheering for little rubber ducks. It goes full circle to what we talked about in the beginning. It's like kindergarten all over again. How quickly you can make a friend, how joyous you can be to ride a simple kiddie coaster, to watching a little piece of rubber in the shape of a little toy float down a lazy river. It is definitely a fun and entertaining community to be a part of. Another opportunity we had at Great Escape, and this was while some of the tours were going on and before dinner on one of the nights, we had the opportunity to sit down and listen to the Enchanted Park's CEO and get questions answered. I know a lot of people, especially in the Midwest, had a lot of questions. People from Great Escape had a lot of questions. And he sat and he listened and he answered without political answers, without saying, well, I can't talk about that right now. I appreciate, and I've heard this from so many others, the appreciation for a CEO to come and talk and be so open, so honest, and so forward with the plans that Enchanted Parks has for their newly acquired properties. I know, being from the Midwest myself, North Central, we've got Valley Fair, new Enchanted Park. We've got Heart of America that has, I believe, 2 new properties that are Enchanted Park properties. Was there anything that really stood out to any of you on what he had to say?
Well, I'm going to call James my friend now because, we talked for about an hour together. So James, if you're listening, it's Shawn Montano in Denver, Colorado, and just, hook me up with some rides or, opportunities to make some comments or things like that. The one of the things that he said that really struck me is people were talking about Six Flags America and the fact that there was no chance that any other industry or any other park was going to gobble up that because Six Flags saw that as a real estate buy and the property was more valuable as real estate than an amusement park. And so he said something about um, cash flow and real estate. And he's in the business of cash flow. And so when he purchases the park, he's not thinking of the real estate. He's thinking of how the park generates cash. The more cash it generates, the more money you can put back in the park, and the more cash that generates. And it's this flow, and it's a good business. So, I mean, I'm confident to say that he's in this to build better amusement parks. He wants to obviously make money, and he also wants us to enjoy that. And so, he had this little story. He was at some amusement park and the soda fountain thing wasn't working properly. And he asked an attendant, it's not working. And this attendant said, I don't know where the part is. And then they found the part. He says, well, I can fix it. I know how to fix it. And it wasn't fixed. And he went to like the CEO or the president of that park and say, hey, this soda fountain wasn't fixed properly. These are the little things that our patrons realize and pay attention to. So I really found that just that little comment of like, you know what, I think he's obviously he's got a good head and shoulders. He's the CEO, but that little thing, and we bombarded him with some of the craziest, silliest, stupidest, intelligent questions, and no matter what, he answered each question with the same I value you, and here's your answer. And I value you. And so I really respected my new friend, James, CEO of Enchanted Parks. And the fact that he was there well past his allotted time. And like went to eat, and he was still answering questions. I don't know how long he was there, but I think we as a group of enthusiasts, and the fact that we got a conversation with somebody so high up on the ladder that is making decisions that will impact all of our lives at some point because we all have an enchanted park, 10 at least 10 hours, a 10-hour drive is not, sooner. I mean, my nearest enchanted park is Worlds of Fun. And I love that park. I love Worlds of Fun. I love Mamba. I love Prowler. I love all that park. I just think it's a great park. And so I'm curious as what they're going to do in the future of that park.
Definitely had a lot to share with us. From the smallest little detail, like you said, with the soda machine, to finding where the priority is, where the parks, he's already going around to each of the parks and finding where the priorities need to be. And he already said, Michigan's Adventure Valley Fair, they're long overdue for another hard ride. The fact that he said that he's looking at every little detail, from park management to staffing to sharing the full experience of a park with the community that surrounds it. Definitely appreciated. I know I also appreciated the fact that after we were done with dinner, he went and he decided he wanted a ride on the Sky Coaster, and actually went up there to show everyone how much fun that was. And if no one's seen it yet, go on Enchanted Park's Facebook page. He is screaming his head off, riding that Sky Coaster and holding on for dear life onto that GoPro stick. Another thing, I'm not sure if you guys were going to the banquet or not. Some people missed out on this part. While some members of A's were heading out to get ready for the banquet, we had a power outage at Great Escape. With that, one of the things that I saw that truly set that park apart was the fact that their CEO went from one end of the park to Adirondack Outlaw. When that got stuck, luckily no one was upside down or anything like that. But the moment he found out that the park had lost power, the moment he heard that someone was stuck on a ride, he walked through that entire park. And on the way to go to that ride, he was talking to people. Hey, is everyone okay? Is everyone doing okay? Are you comfortable? He personally guided people toward the exit. The park even offered fudge to all the patrons that were there during the blackout, and made his way up there to personally take accountability for a power outage that he had no control over, just to ensure that all of his guests were okay. And they handled that so quickly. The maintenance team was like on point. Shout out to Great Escape for handling it so quickly. Were any of you in the park during that power outage?
No,
Shawn saying no.
Yeah, we were on our way back to the airport, but I was like getting all the we had like a group meet going with our region, and everyone was like, especially after it happened at SpringCon too, they're like, guys, the power went out again. And I was like, I was like, are you serious? Like, I genuinely thought they were just like joking. And I'm like, no, it's actually went out. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy. So that was some on the road entertainment to keep me awake, driving back to New York.
I apologize ahead of time. If we have a power outage during PresCon, I'm blaming my husband. We were there for SpringCon. We were there for CoasterCon. Power outage in both. No, in all fairness, no. We were joking around trying to just say, hey, it's our fault because we go to these events and at least we didn't have a rollback or any or evac or anything like that. But hey, we've had 2 power outages, which is a complete fluke in our world. I don't think we've ever experienced such a unique situation twice in the same year at a park. I just want to say that recapping all of CoasterCon 48 has been so much fun with you guys. The fact that we can laugh at ourselves as well as our friends and the silliness that we get to experience, I appreciate it all. And I appreciate you guys. I've gotten to know all of you just a little bit more by doing this. And I do hope to see you guys at another national event, hopefully. Are you guys looking forward to going to PresCon or?
I'm definitely planning to go. I'm excited. I've never been to Wild Waves before, so
I'm hopefully going. I know my dad said he's going. I told him he couldn't go if I can't go, but I sadly I work grocery, so I told my boss, I said, I will do whatever you want. I just need the Friday and Saturday off. Just give me that off and I'll figure out the rest. Like, I'll work a double on the day of. So I'm really hoping to make it up there. So fingers crossed. Hopefully I'll be able to make it up there because I really want to go and make it to Wild Waves before they close.
Yeah, I teach college, and so that's right in the beginning of the semester. So that's really tough time for me to get away. So I doubt I'll make it. I'm trying, but I highly doubt that I'll make it. It's just a bad weekend.
Thank you guys so much for joining in and doing this with me. I know it's not the normal flow of the Ride with Ace podcast, but I think that we have shared collectively so many wonderful memories from CoasterCon 48. I do believe that those that are listening, I hope that you guys have had a few chuckles along with us and are reliving the memories yourself from CoasterCon. And for those that haven't been to CoasterCon yet, we encourage you to go. We can't wait to meet you. And we will see you in the queues sooner or later. Thank you, everyone, again. Have a good one.
Thank you so much to HaeKyung, Luke, Hannah, and Shawn for sharing their wicked awesome opinions on how CoasterCon went this year in New England. We also want to send a huge congratulations on behalf of all of the podcast team to Mike Matcherts, who won this year's Spirit of Ace Award at the banquet. Mike, it is so well deserved. Congratulations, friend. I also wanted to congratulate the photo contest winners. In third place was Cody Thorderson, in second was John DeVecca, and in first place was Jason Huber. Congratulations. And for the video contest, we're going to do something fun, and I'm actually going to put the links to these videos in our show notes, so you can check those out there. The third place video was called Six Flags State of Mind by Eric Feichthaler Jr. The second place video was You Might Be a Coaster Enthusiast by Daniel Scott. And the first place video was Thank You by Dalton Kreider. Congratulations. If you listen to this podcast and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I wish I could still be back in New England, or I wish I could have checked some of New England out, there's still a little bit of a chance. Well, you can at least get a little bit of a taste of Rhode Island if you attend Preservation Con, because over at Wild Waves, Wild Thing was actually a roller coaster called Corkscrew at Rocky Point Park in Rhode Island. And the Preservation Conference schedule is already posted, so we don't want you to miss registration. It's coming soon. Make sure you're checking the website ridewithace.com regularly, and make sure you're following us on social media. We would love it if you'd subscribe to the podcast, rate and review if you can. And if you have any ideas or podcast episode pitches or questions, make sure you reach out to us at podcast@aceonline.org. Thanks for listening. I hope you get to ride a coaster today.
Ride With Us is produced by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, a registered 501c3 organization. And we will see you at the parks.